another section of Azure Power Lunch. As you know that we record these calls and place our recordings on our YouTube channel. So if you don't want to be recorded, you may want to drop off now. And with the topic of discussion today, we have a big update in regards to app service environment, which have just gone into public preview, and it's regarding the outbound segmentation of ASV3. So that is now supported in ASV3. So what we're going to do today is here's a quick agenda. We are going to just go over uh, what ASV3 is, just a quick level set, quick overview. And then we are going to talk about what this outbound segmentation, network segmentation means, how it works, and what it brings to the table. And of course, there's going to be a demo. So let's quickly jump in. So as you know, that Azure App Service Environment is Microsoft first-party service, which allows you to host your app service inside your virtual network. So basically, this is a VNet injected model for app service, where you can deploy the app service entirely inside a virtual network. And it's fully isolated. It's a dedicated environment. It's much higher scalability and better security. And it's for those scenarios. It's not for everyone. It's for those scenarios, for those organizations where you need more control over that environment, where you have some specific regulatory and security compliance that you have to meet. And so that's why you want to deploy it inside a subnet. So you can have a very fine-grained control on network segmentation and all those things. Okay, so that's a quick overview of app service v3, and this is an app service environment reference architecture. Okay, I'm sure you have seen it many times. You have a in Azure, you have a virtual network, then you deploy an app service environment v3 in it, and I mean, uh, normally we just now use app service environment because v3 is pretty much ignored. But anyways, this is a version 3 of it. So I may call it app service environment or app service environment v3. I mean the same thing. Okay, you have web apps, you have API apps deployed into it. Remember, inbound is coming through an ILB. That's how it accessing those app services. And then you have a web application firewall that may be used for services that are for the consumer, which are coming over the internet, or somebody may be coming over the API management. There are admin apps that may be running, which are accessing these services running in the AS. And on at some point, ACE is calling services in app services hosted in AS, may be calling Azure Cache, or it may be accessing on-prem services through Express. So that's the beauty of it. Okay, so that's kind of a high-level architecture. One thing is that when you deploy these apps in app service environment, just keep in mind by default the outbound is the subnet that you have deployed your ACE, okay, or app service environment. So when you are deploying your app service environment, you pick a VNet and a subnet. It has a certain requirement. You need certain IP address range. You deploy it. That's gonna be the route. So basically, if you have whatever characteristics of that subnet are, that's going to be how the outbound will happen. And we are specifically talking about outbound in this one. Okay. So, as you know, that if it's going outside of the subnet to internet, it will have an IP address that is dictated by, um, by Azure. If you're not using any NAT gateway, so that's how the default outbound works. But it doesn't work for all the customers. A number of customers are looking for more advanced way to segment that traffic, because what happens is when you have these apps running inside a app service environment, they may have different outbound requirements. For example, one service may be accessing a database which has very kind of private information, or it may not be that every app will have access to it. Okay. So if you have it today without this segmentation, basically every app may be able to access it. Yes, I mean you can control it through through access control. That's still available, but still they don't want, what they want is have more control where you can route the outbound traffic in a way that you can use another subnet. You can use it a subnet that may be using a NAT gateway. So you're outbound when you leave the network, your Azure, go to the internet, you have a specific IP address, all of these things. So more control over this outbound traffic that is leaving the ACE apps and going out either to a different subnet. So let's look at this diagram here. First of all, the app one is using the default ACE subnet, so it's going to go the default route to the internet. Okay. The second app, web app 2, it's being routed, and that's through the preview outbound network segmentation is being is gonna use subnet 2, which has a NAT gateway to access the outbound. Okay, so what that is going to do is it's going to route its traffic through that subnet, and when it hits the internet, it will be using the IP addresses or IP address provided by the NAT gateway. If you don't know about NAT gateway is Microsoft service which allows you to control the traffic leaving your network, and you can assign instead of using a default IP, you can assign IP addresses to NAT gateway, and that's how you control how external services, when your service calls them, how they see your IP address. Because what happens is, if you are using a third-party service, they may want to have a better control or over who is accessing their service. So they may ask you, okay, can you tell us what IP addresses you'll be coming from? And you can use NAT gateway to say, okay, I'm going to be using this NAT gateway, and this is the IP address or IP address range that I'm going to be using to access your service. So that's that example. Okay, now comes on the third app, Web App 3. Web App 3 is being uh, basically segmented to a separate subnet. And what we have is we have a private endpoint to a storage. Okay, think of it as a private endpoint to a database which has very kind of a some information that you don't want any other app to see. It's only be should be used by this web app 3. Think of it. What we have done is we have applied an NSG on this PE subnet, and that NSG is blocking all traffic except from this subnet for app3, okay, which is we are using for app3. So basically, only app3 now can access to it, okay. And as you can see, have a cross the diagram below. Traffic from subnet app2 to subnet PE is blocked based on NSG rule, and we will see look at the demo as well. So that's how that's some of the examples how you can take advantage of this outbound network segmentation to control outbound traffic from NAs. Any questions?
Sorry, a quick question. Is the the IP, the public IP fix is possible using the NAT gateway, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
if you route it gateway, yes, it will use the NAT gateway public IP.
Super. Okay, thank you.
And we will see the demo as well. So it's a kind of a quick demo. It's not something earth shattering, but you will see. Okay, so some things, and I think this is going to be more UI driven and as we move along. But at this moment in the public preview, what you have to do is I haven't seen any support for the existing app service environment. Okay, so the for an you have to create a new app service environment to see this feature. Okay, this is public preview. Just keep in mind maybe they will support existing app service environment when we go GA. I don't know. So in that case, what you're gonna do is you're gonna create an app service environment, but and get the template. And by the way, create means go to the portal, or if you have a ARM template, use that and make sure you add this setting. This is important. You have to enable this. Okay. Then deploy it to the template. And at that point, what you're going to have is you will have this feature enabled. Okay. And then you will be able to take advantage of this feature. So just keep that in mind. Second, any subnet that you want to delegate for your app, and just keep in mind, you can do it per app. So each app inside the app service environment can have a subnet. So once you delegate it, that has to be delegated with Microsoft.web/server form. So you have to delegate the subnet to Microsoft.web/server form. Okay. Third, all traffic from your app has to be routed. Application traffic routing should be enabled. You can use this app settings, and there are other ways to do it as well. And once you do that, currently UI doesn't support this routing, so or this segmentation. So you have to run this command. This is kind of a VNet integration command that you use. You specify the resource group, the app name, subnet name, and VNet name, and then you add that subnet to um, uh, to that particular app, and here we go. And then it start using. It takes a minute or two. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna go a quick demo. I think we have enough time. So let's first of all, let me show you what I have. I have a resource group, and I have deployed an ACE app service environment. This is my app service environment. As you can see here, it's running in this subnet, and I'm sure. Okay, let me just increase the font size a little bit so everybody can see it better. Um, and it is has three apps as we showed in the screen. Okay. Then let's look at the subnets. So this is my list of my VNet where my ACE is deployed. This is the subnet, the default subnet where ACE is deployed, SNet ACE v3. Then I have these, there's a subnet VMs where I have deployed my VM. Since it's all private apps, so I have to use a VM. I think it should be still running. Yes, there. And then I have two other alternative subnets where I will be routing. One, alt01 will be used to route traffic from app2, and alt02 will be used to route traffic from app3. Then a subnet PE where I have deployed a private endpoint to a storage. Okay. This is my NAT gateway. So this is attached to alt01, and this is the IP address of the NAT gateway. Okay. Um, hopefully everybody with me so far. So that's that. Okay. So let's quickly go in here. I'm going to drag this virtual desktop where I'm running all my apps. So let's first look at these apps. So this is app01. So what I'm doing is I'm calling a external service, and all these apps do nothing except they just do a web HTTP call. They're calling an external service. An external service is returning the IP address that they see. As you can see here, they're still seeing in both the apps, they are still seeing the IP address, which is the caller's IP address, which is the IP address uh, of the default VNet, okay, which is basically Azure assigned a IP address. They are not, because I haven't done any routing yet, okay. So now let's go ahead and start doing the routing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to route app2 to alt01. Okay, so this is app2. I'm using it to integrate it, basically segment it to route alt01. So it's going to be going through that. And alt01 has a NAT gateway assigned to it. Just keep in mind it takes a few minutes. So basically, when it goes through that NAT gateway, the end application should see the IP address of NAT gateway. So let's quickly go in. this is my NAT gateway. This is the IP address 206. At this moment, while we are running it, before that, it's using this IP address. And let's see what happens. It's still using that. Okay, look, IP address changed. And for the comparison, I'm gonna switch screens on you again. Let me just increase the font size. So look, this is the HTTP1. This is still using the default IP address, which is assigned by Azure. And this is the app2. This is using the IP address that is being assigned by the NAT gateway. Got it? I think, Marco, that was your question. So now we are going through the subnet that has the NAT gateway attached to it, and that's the IP address that is being seen. Okay, so that's that. And let me just quickly, and by the way, you can remove the association as well. So then it will start following the old path. Okay. So now, so as you can see, this is the IP address. Okay, now let's go into the third app. Third app, I'm just gonna quickly go back to the diagram just to make sure uh, I'm, you're clear what I'm trying to show. So app 03 is gonna be delegated to this subnet, and then I have an NSG a private endpoint deployed to a PE subnet. And what I have done is put an NSG where I'm only allowing traffic from the subnet for app3. And let me show you that NSG. So let's go in here. Okay, what we can do is let's first do the app integration, the VNet integration. So here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to route traffic from app3 to SNet alt 02. And by the way, before I do that, I just want to show it to you here. This is not showing any output. It cannot go. If I run it, it's just going to hang in there because it cannot get to this endpoint, which is I'm targeting, and that endpoint is blocked. Okay, so let's go in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, run this integration. It will take a minute. While it is taking a minute, I'm going to show you this NSG. So this is the NSG that I have put. As you can see, this NSG is attached to PE subnet where I have a private endpoint dropped, and these are the inbound rules. I am blocking all VNet traffic, so there is no subnet to subnet traffic. I'm only allowing one subnet. So the only subnet that is allowed is this. And if we go back here into our subnets, this is the address of this subnet. Okay? Slash 24, 16.2/24. And let's go back here. Where was the NSG? Yeah, so this is the NSG. As you can see, this is the address. So basically, that's what we are allowing in. So at this point, let's see if yeah, it is finished. So let's go back there into our page. Okay, this page is not working. Yeah, let's refresh it. And it will take a second sometime. Let's go into this one. See if we have better luck in here. Oh, yeah, it's working. Look, this is app3 and it's saying hello world from APL. And what hello world from APL is, this is the address of a blob. And just to prove my point, I can show it to you. This is the address, address of the blob that I have. Let me go in here. So if we go into this storage account and containers, okay, yeah, I can't access it because block out the access. But anyways, there is a blob there where I am which I'm trying to access. It's only available through private endpoint. So think of it. Once again, I want to show you this diagram. This time, I'm going through app 3. Only app 3 can go through this PE and get this blob out. That, that's all there is to it. So that's kind of I wanted to show. So just want to do a quick recap. As you can see that Azure App Service Environment, which is Microsoft first party service, allow you to inject app services into your VNet so you can have a more control over network segmentation and scaling. And this is good for the scenarios where you have certain regulatory and security compliance. It has introduced a new feature in public preview, which is outbound network segmentation, which allows you to route traffic per app through another subnet. So basically, you may have a subnets there in your available, and what you can do is route the traffic from your app to another subnet, and thus have a better control over how app accesses different resources. For example, you have some databases which may have some sensitive information that you don't want to have accessible from all apps, so you can put that in another subnet and then only allow a certain subnet to have access, which is used by a certain app, to have access to that um, particular database. Or on the other hand, you can control how the outbound works. So you may have outbound from different subnets, each may have a different NAT gateway, and they may be accessing the backend services and thus using their own IP addresses through that NAT gateway. So you can control that network access and have a better control on how services call their backend services. So that's that's the key part of this feature. And as you can see, you can route services to firewall. I don't have an example of firewall, but you understand it. I mean, you can route services to firewall as well. All of that you can do. So was a feature long time coming. I hope you find it useful and your customer find it useful. So please, any questions, folks? If there are no questions, I will give everybody their 5 minutes back and hope to see everybody next week for another session of Azure Power Lunch. Thank you very much for joining and have a wonderful rest of the day and a great weekend. Bye bye.